what we discover is a very intentional layout, and I want to look at that now. And what we have are, what we're given is 6 days of creation, and I want to run through them. So let's see, what was created on day 1?
Light and time.
Light and time. Is that right? Is that what it is? You might be right. I mean, I never picked up time before. Yeah, light, and it separates darkness, right? So it deals with light. Light's created. It deals with darkness. What's it say for time?
And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. God saw that the light was good, and He separated the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness He called night. And there was evening, and there was morning, the first day.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Great. Time. I'll put time on there, even though it doesn't play into my talk at all. That's good. That's good. Day 2. Who's day 2? You guys back there?
Yeah. Sky.
Sky. Yeah. What does sky separate?
The water's above.
Okay, so sky, and like light, He created light, but it separates dark. Yeah. I'm going to put both up there.
We
It's
also
helpful.
have atmosphere.
Atmosphere, well, yeah, but it doesn't say that, does it? No. Yeah. Because basically, it basically says filament. There's a filament that separates the waters, and the filament is atmosphere, but, it's called sky. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. All right, 3. You guys up here.
Earth, seas, and vegetation.
Earth, it separates the seas and vegetation. 4.
Sun and stars.
And moon, right?
And,
Great. 5.
sea creatures, birds.
See, I'm going to call it fish, even though that's just because I have to write less. And birds. 6.
Land creatures.
Good. Yeah, that's right. There it is. Genesis 1, the first problem in the whole Bible shows up in Genesis 1 2. God created the heavens and the earth. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And they were... What were they in Genesis 1 2?
Formless.
Formless? Depending on your translation. Yeah. And what? Void, empty. They're formless and void or empty. And I think the interesting thing about the layout of Genesis 1 is that God deals with the problem of formlessness in days 1 through 3. And He deals with the problem of emptiness in days 4 through 6. Did you have Grove? You went to West.
I did, yeah, I did have
I think that's significant. I think that's really significant. And we're going to be talking about these things as we go through the next several classes. But basically, the first thing God does, or creates, is space. Spaces, I should say, plural. And not just spaces, but spaces that are inhabitable. You guys can see it. I'm going to write it down here. They're inhabitable spaces. And then what He does is He populates those spaces. And He doesn't just populate them, but He basically populates them with governors. I mean, He talks about in day 4. Who was day 4? You guys?
Yeah, we do.
He talks about the luminaries governing day and night. And what we're going to see is that in Genesis 1, 26 to 28, that's the apex of Genesis 1, and the ultimate governor is God's method. What we're going to discover is God's method for accomplishing the mission. And as you recall, the mission is to fill the earth with the glory, or the knowledge of the glory of God, as the waters cover the sea. And His method, I believe, is all of this, right? Inhabitable space that's beautiful, it's lush, and then populating that space, but ultimately many needs. That's his method. Mini-me's. You guys seen Austin Powers? Yeah, that's good. I wasn't sure about, I don't know how old that is. But mini-me's, right? Who can read Genesis 1:26 to 27 for us? Maybe somebody can read that for us.
And God said, "Let us make man in our image, in our likeness, and let them rule over the fish of the sea and the birds of the air, over the livestock, over all the earth, and over all the creatures that move along the ground." So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them.
Great, thank you. And how many times in there does it say image or likeness?
3.
3? 4? 2 verses. So God's mission is to fill the earth with His glory. His method is mini-me's. All right, and now I got this, and I don't know why, it's kind of a negative image, but I think it illustrates well. For some reason it's burned into my brain. But when we conquered Baghdad, what's the image? I don't know, there's an image that stands out when we took Baghdad. Does anybody? Yeah, go on. Is it?
The statue falling over.
What
Sorry, my internet fell off.
Yeah.
The statue falling over in the square.
Yeah, right? Saddam Hussein's statue getting pulled over. Why did we pull over the statue? What's up? His likeness, right? When Saddam Hussein wants to glorify himself, what's he do? He builds a statue of himself smack in the middle of the city. When God wants to glorify himself, what's he do?
Smack in the middle of there.
There you go. That's it. That's it. That's right. Sherry Ann. Yeah. Mini-me's, right? I mean, you guys have heard it said, right? The greatest form of flattery is imitation. Let me see. Kids on the street, without dads, who do they look to? They look to the guy on the corner, right? Or different context, but in business, we got mentors and mentees. In medicine, if you want to go into a certain practice, man, if you can kind of find somebody that you really respect in that industry, then what do? You kind of watch them. You want to become like them, right? If you don't respect them, what do? You don't try to be like them. You got to find your own way, right? And there's something about becoming like God that is core to who we are. It's what it is to be human, is to be like God, because He made us that way, right? That's kind of His plan, is that we would become like Him. But you can't become like something that you don't love. And so, but when you love someone, you can't help but to want to be more like them. Even when you fail, you just want to be like them. So God's mission, fill the earth with glory, okay, His glory. His method, mini-me's. And now let's focus on verses 26 to 28. Actually, let's focus on verse 28. And before I talk about that, just real quickly, you see, to give you kind of the broader narrative, I think ultimately His goal was not just to fill the earth with mini-me's, plural, but the mini-me, right? Jesus. You see, the narrative plays out in a certain logic and a certain time order, but the plan kind of starts here, I believe. It starts with Jesus, right? Check out Colossians. Let's maybe the speed finders again. We're in Colossians 1:15 and Hebrews 1:3. find those? Want to read them out? If you found it, you can just read it. Colossians, start with Colossians 1.
He is the image of the invisible God. He's the firstborn over all creation.
Great, thanks. Jesus is talking about there. Hebrews 1:3.
He is the radiance of the glory of God and the exact imprint of his nature, and he upholds the universe by the word of his power.
Yeah. The book of John, from beginning to end, the more I go through John looking for this, the more I find it everywhere, everywhere. Jesus saying this, saying, look, I don't say anything I haven't heard my Father say. I don't do anything I haven't seen my Father do. You know, John 5, the Pharisees go talking to him about work on the Sabbath. And what does he say? He says, look, my Father's working, I'm working. And the more you go through John, you see it over and over and over again. Jesus does what the Father does. He doesn't do anything apart from the Father. He doesn't do anything on his own. He is the quintessential mini-me, right? He is the exact image, the radiance, the exact, or I forget how Hebrews words it, but he is the radiance, the visible of the invisible God. All right, let's jump to Genesis 1:28. Somebody want to read that slowly and loudly for us?
God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and increase in number. Fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish of the sea and the birds of the air and over every living creature that moves on the ground.
Thank you. Be fruitful and increase in number. And he says, what about the earth? Subdue it and rule over it? Is that what he says? Did I miss something? Phil. Yeah, that's the one. Remember our chart for the days of creation? What are the two sort of movements of God in creation? I think it's very interesting that, you know, Genesis 1:26 and 27 talk about the image, the representation. What's it? The image. There's two words. The image and. I'm sorry. 26 and 27.
Oh, likeness.
Likeness. Yeah, image and likeness. It says it 4 times in 26 and 27. 28. Boom. Do what I do. Now it's in reverse order. But in days 1 through 3, God's about doing space. Let me make this space. Let me make it beautiful. We're going to see in Genesis 2, there's minerals and, you know, diamonds and, you know, cool stuff in the earth. And there's fruitfulness. And guess what? They don't have to work for their food in Genesis 2 because the earth just pops it out. And they just eat freely. And the space is inhabitable. It's good space. You know, that's how the promised land is. Milk and honey. Deuteronomy 6 talks about a city you guys didn't build, vineyards you didn't plant. It's just there for you. God creates and provides inhabitable space. He then populates the space with image bearers, those created in His image. And then to those created in His image, He goes, now you go do the same thing I just did. It starts in reverse. Get out there. Get out of the garden. Go subdue that wildness out there. I took the garden to a certain point, and now I'm handing it off to Mini-Me to, you know, run off and subdue it and then rule it. And as you're doing these things, you're also going to be fruitful and increase and fill. And through this, my glory will be known throughout the whole earth.